Well, a good Friday. Thank you for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program on WKRX 96.7 FM and on the Spectrum Channel 191. And by the way, Kilby, you owe me $1. We welcome you into the program. My name is Rob Hall. Glad to have you tuned in. Brought to you today by Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, Sandline Golf Cars, and T.G. Brooks Company. We appreciate our fine supporting sponsors, and all that we ask, should you have the opportunity to send some business their way, please do so and convey a word of thank you to them for sponsoring the Gardener's Corner program. Our guest today is Johnny Coley. Johnny is the horticultural agent for both Person and Granville counties. Good morning, Johnny.
Good morning. Good morning, Rob.
Glad to have you back with us again this week.
Back-to-back weeks here, so that's good.
Yeah, kind of a double header, so to speak.
There you go. Baseball just got started. So
that's right. Johnny is the newest agent for both Person and Granville counties. He started back on December 1st, and he actually filled the position that Mr. Carl Cantalupi vacated when he retired. And so we're glad to have Johnny on the Cooperative Extension Service team. And the Cooperative Extension Service motto is empowering people, providing solutions. And they're there to help you. And when you talk about the Extension Service, it's a huge blanket that encompasses many different areas, everything from home cooking to livestock to vegetable gardeners, and the list just goes on and on. We're very fortunate here to have the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. They are backed by North Carolina State University and also North Carolina A&T University. So the agents, they have a wealth of knowledge themselves, but if they come across a problem that they may not be familiar with the best remedy to solve it, they have means at their disposal to get the answers. So we are live in the studio today, 336-599-0266. If you've got a question for Johnny, he'll do his best to get you an answer for it. We'd love to hear from you again, 336-599-0266. Going to be talking about several different things today, and something that we have started doing here on the Gardener's Corner program is we try to keep you updated of other things going on through the Cooperative Extension Service. And they've got several events coming up in the very near future. We'll make mention of those. And I'll make mention of one event that's taking place this afternoon, Friday afternoon. It is the Person County Cattlemen's Association. It's their steak dinner tonight. And they'll be serving at the county office building. It's $15 per plate. You get a ribeye steak, baked potato, tossed salad. It comes with bread, dessert, and drink, eat in or take out. And it's a fine meal. And it is a fundraiser for the Person County Cattlemen's Association. I look forward to that each and every year. I sure do. So
Kim was over there getting ready for it when I left the office. So
they do a really good job with it, and I'm not sure how many plates they typically prepare.
I think you said about 500.
Well, you eat in or take out, and we typically go through the takeout line, and it's all hands on deck because they are rocking and rolling. And I think they'll try to start serving somewhere around 5 o'clock this afternoon. And again, at the Cooperative Extension Service at the county office building, right there in the auditorium. Eat in or take out. Get you one of those steak dinners. Hey, Johnny, I think we've got a caller.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
That dinner sounds good on a cool evening like tonight.
It's
anyway,
really
my
good.
question is, I know we're about 4 months out from Christmas, but I still have a poinsettia that looks as pretty as it did back in November when I got it, and was just wondering, is there anything I need to be doing? Do I need to put it in a closet or hide it or whatever? Right now, I've just got it sitting out in my laundry room on a freezer, and it's done really well. And if you don't mind, can I hang up and listen from the radio?
That'll be fine.
Absolutely. If that works best for you, that's good. So, you just want to know about how to continue caring for your poinsettia. Well, I think she disconnected.
All right.
All
well,
right.
That's what I understood her to ask too, Rob. So, well, first off, congratulations. It sounds like you've been doing a great job taking care of it so far, and I would continue doing whatever you have been doing for the next month anyway. Let's wait until May, and then you could actually put it outside. Wouldn't put it in full sun, but put it in a shady spot as you acclimate it to the outside. You might move it to more sun as the season goes on. It's going to turn green, most likely, as it puts on new growth. A little bit early to start putting it in the darkness. Usually we won't do that until probably October, in the September, October. Our natural day length actually will turn it back red. So the trick is that once the day length starts getting shorter in the fall, it's actually the nighttime darkness that's going to turn that poinsettia back red, so turn the bracts red. So you want to put it somewhere where you're not going to interrupt the darkness. So put it in a room that you don't go into very often. So because artificial light will actually interrupt the process of turning it red. So you want to put it somewhere that you're not going to be going into, and just the natural day length will turn it back. It needs at least 14 hours, 12 to 14 hours of darkness in order to turn back red. But I would just, at this point, just continue doing what you're doing. It sounds like you're doing a great job. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to call me at the extension office. Number there is 336-599-1195 here in Person County, and I'll be glad to answer any other questions. But I would leave it inside for at least another month because the nighttime temperatures are still pretty cool for the poinsettia to be outside. But once it turns May and nighttime temperatures are 50 or above, you can put it outside, or you can leave it inside. It sounds like you've got a good spot for it inside. So whichever works best for you. But the putting it in and manipulating the daylight is still a little bit early. Don't want to do that probably until, like I said, 1st of October would be plenty early as our natural day lengths start shortening.
Well, Johnny, the poinsettia is one of those plants, such as a mum, a chrysanthemum, to where if you do, care for them, you can use them year to year to year.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest majority of people sometimes neglect the care that those plants need, and a lot of time it's easier to purchase one that plant, blooms out and it's offered at local gardening centers and things.
It is. Poinsettias are very tricky to overwinter. Sounds like she's doing a great job.
It sure does.
Of it, but a lot of people have I know I used to have customers when I had the nursery. They would come in like the week before Christmas because they couldn't get it to live for 1 week or 2 weeks. So they wanted to make sure it was pretty at Christmas time. But it is a tricky plant. It is not a cookie cutter plant that you can just treat the same way every year even and get good results, because it really does require some particular care.
Well, again, we are live in the studio, 336-599-0266. If you've got a question for Johnny, he'll do his best to get you an answer for it. Something that I would like to make mention of, last week we had a special guest here with us, Alicia Spence with the Person High FFA, and she is actually interning with you all some there at the Cooperative Extension Service office. Anyway, coming up on Saturday, April the 15th, that's 1 week from tomorrow.
It is. Tax day.
Yeah, tax deadline date. Of course, that'll be extended to Monday. And it's also going to be Easter weekend.
Yeah.
But the FFA is going to be having a bologna burger sale at Southern States in Roxborough. They'll be there during lunchtime. I understand they'll also have hot dogs available. So on Saturday, April 15th, if you're in the neighborhood of Southern States of Roxborough around lunchtime, stop in and show your support for the Person High FFA. Purchase your bologna burger or maybe a hot dog, or heck, go all out and get one of each.
That's right. That's right. Lunch and dinner.
That's right. And something else I would like to make mention of, they are also going to be having tomato plants, other vegetable plants for sale through the Person High FFA. And if you would be interested in purchasing some of these plants from the FFA, just contact the FFA advisor, David Jones, and you can call Person High School, and they can connect you with David, and maybe you can show your support that way. So, a couple of ways for the FFA to raise money through the bologna burger sales and the vegetable plant sale. And I think maybe they have some bedding plants, flowers and things maybe also.
Yeah,
but
she talked like they did. I don't know exactly what varieties they have.
right, so
I know they have the vegetables.
to get all the details, just talk to the FFA advisor for Person County, David Jones, and your support is greatly appreciated through the FFA.
It's a great organization.
It really is, along with 4-H, and
is.
you know, Johnny, I don't know if I've ever told you this tale or not, but one of the now employees here at the radio station, back when she was the Person County 4-H agent, Beth Davis, she was, on the show with me, and we got to talking, and after the show was over and she was leaving, I said, Beth, I've heard about 4-H, a great number of years. I said, but I never realized they were as diverse and done as many different things as they do. And she said, yeah, Rob, she said, 4-H is more than cooking and cows.
Exactly.
So, but anytime you can show your support for 4-H or the FFA, please do so. And anyway, she also told me that the 4-H stands for head, heart, hands, and health. And so I don't know if I had ever heard that before or not until she told me. But speaking of the 4-H and FFA, coming up in Hillsborough, it's going to be a Wednesday and Thursday. It'll be April 19th and 20th. They're going to have the Central Piedmont Livestock Show. And on Thursday, the 20th, that'll be kind of a showcase of the show. And they will actually have the auction sale. All this is going to take place up at the Central Carolina Holstein Barn on Orange Grove Road up in Hillsborough. And so if you feel so inclined to attend that show and sale, by all means do just that, because it's a good time. It's a beautiful drive up there. To me, now I hadn't traveled on every road in Orange County, but Orange Grove Road to me is a beautiful ride out to the Central Carolina Holstein Barn. But be sure to check that show out coming up again on April 19th and 20th. That's a Wednesday and Thursday. And then it's another event sponsored by the Cooperative Extension Service coming up on April 21st, which is a Friday. But I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But anyway, Johnny, you had said you wanted to talk about something today that I think will really be good. And the thing about vegetable gardening, you don't need to have 1 acre of land or even a half acre of land to plant some of your favorite vegetables. You was telling me that you've done a couple of workshops and seminars lately on vegetable gardening in containers.
Container gardenings. And I want to go back to you saying beautiful drives. The road 158 from Oxford to Roxborough that I travel quite a bit back and forth. That's a beautiful drive. This time of year, the dogwoods and redbuds are gorgeous, and now the azaleas have joined the symphony.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful drive with all those showing colors. Been a beautiful season. Every year I say, well, I think the dogwoods are prettier this year than they've ever been. But it's just they always it's just a special time of season for when they bloom. It's a gorgeous drive. So talking about drives, that's a pretty drive too.
Well, you know, Johnny, a lot of people talk about the fall foliage, but you know, when everything is budding out and blooming, it is a pretty scene. And you know, I must confess, I'm one that when riding, I tend to pay more attention about the things on the side of the roads and down through the valley, over across the pasture, more so than on the road.
Don't want to meet Rob in the springtime because they look.
But it is a lot of beautiful sights, no matter where you may travel. It sure is.
Just wanted to say that.
Well, I'm glad you
subject.
did.
But anyway,
good point.
The container gardening is something that it's nothing new. It's been popular for quite a while, especially in the ornamental arena. You know, people have been planting container gardens for a long time, and it seems like it's beginning more and more popular with the vegetables now because people have a smaller space and maybe they live in an apartment, maybe they live somewhere they don't have a lot of space. The container gardens are perfect because it doesn't take but 1 or 2 tomato plants that will give you some good tomato throughout the year. You can have tomatoes. You can have a couple of tomato plants, and you have tomatoes throughout the season. So it doesn't take you don't have to plant a whole garden in order to have some good vegetables. One of the first things you want to make sure you do when you're doing container gardening is making sure you have good soil. We can't use the same soil. We can't use topsoil and the same soils that we do in the garden. It's too heavy. You need a good drainage, good soil that drains well. It has some perlite in it and some bark to make sure it's good drainage. You want to make sure your containers have holes in the bottom of them. Right. If you don't have holes in the bottom of your containers, it's just a fish bowl is what it is. So you can raise good carp in it or good goldfish, but it's hard to raise tomatoes in a container with no holes. Get a rain like we did yesterday morning, and it just floods it, and it just needs to.
It doesn't take long to drown plants.
It doesn't.
Johnny, if you will, let's put you on hold just a minute. Okay. Well, I see we've got a caller, and then we'll take care of this, and then we'll continue on.
All right.
Thank you for calling the Gardener's Corner program.
Yes, I have a question about little small white bugs, worms, I guess you'd call them, that gets into peaches each year. And I need to know what to prevent them, what to put on it, and then when to do it.
All right. The peach, I'm not sure what the worm, but it's usually with peaches there's like a 4-step process is spraying, and you have to start it when they're in bloom, because a lot of times the moth will visit the bloom and actually lay the egg in the bloom, and as the fruit develops, that egg will hatch out and the worm will actually be inside the fruit as it matures. So it's a process. Usually you spray them.
We lost him, but maybe he's listening on the radio.
Maybe he's listening. But anyway, you want to spray starting about bloom stage when they first open up. Even at bud stage, I think some sprays you spray and then it bloom fall, and then one more time. It's a four spray, usually about 10 to 14 days apart for the fruit, especially the peaches, to get that insect taken care of, and other insects that might affect. Unfortunately, this year our peach blooms probably don't look real good right now because peaches bloom so early during the season, and then we had that cold weather back about 3 weeks ago and really zapped them. Unfortunately, we're going to have some more cold weather this weekend, but as far as the frost goes. But that's the main thing with the peaches is you do have to spray them. It's unfortunate. It's a spray regimen you have to do if you're going to have good peaches. You really have to spray to have them develop and be what they can be.
Well, Johnny, when the gentleman was first questioning, I thought he was going to be talking about the peach tree borer that is sometimes attracted to stone fruit trees.
Yes.
And a lot of times, from what I understand with that peach tree borer, they tend to like younger trees better than older trees. But one thing that I think sometimes people have the misconception, whenever you have fruit trees, whether it's pears, peaches, apples, it's a lot more to it than just planting these trees and you show up in the fall time to harvest the fruit. You really have to be diligent about spraying, fungicides and different things to, make the fruit the best that it possibly can be. And so those people that are used to it, they understand. But if someone, maybe just planted, a couple of trees, and starting a home orchard, they need to go ahead and get on this spray regimen. And a lot of people ask the question, how often do you spray? Well, it's a lot of variables.
It is, especially it depends on the weather a lot. But with fruit trees, you can go by the bud stages. When it just starts to open up or is at bud stage, you can spray, and then at full open bloom, and then at petal fall. So that's the schedule you keep, and it's not the same every year. You can't put it on the calendar at April 1st you're going to spray, because
Right.
it may vary like it did this year. We're about 2 weeks ahead with everything. So it's it's not something you can say definitely when you need to do it. You just have to watch them and see. You mentioned the peach tree borer. That's something you spray in the fall for.
Right,
You
yeah.
spray them in the fall when the moth actually visits the tree and puts the eggs, lays the eggs, and then the larvae of the moth will come and bore into the tree. Usually no further than probably 3 feet up. Just spray it with a pesticide that is labeled for peach tree borers that will take care of those. But you do have to do that. I think it's like in August.
I think you're right.
So
I
August,
think you're right.
September time frame that you want to control that particular insect. It's hard to control it once you see it coming back out. It's done the damage.
Yeah.
So,
And another thing with fruit trees, a lot of times once you start seeing signs, it's too late,
unfortunately, that is the
to
case.
correct the problem. So
symptoms show up.
I used to use this analogy a lot with Carl when he would talk about something. I said, well, Carl, I'm going to use the old analogy, and I'm going to use it with you, Johnny. And that analogy is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
That is for sure.
So,
that is for sure. And
but-
not any more true for that statement than it is in peach trees and apple trees and fruit trees. That's for sure.
Getting back to vegetable gardening in containers, Johnny was saying that when planting vegetable plants in containers, you just don't want to go out here in your backyard and scoop up several shovelfuls of soil and put it in a container. You want to get a good mixture that will drain well, and whatever type of container that you have, you need to make sure that it is a well-drained container, because there's so many plants out there that do not like to have wet feet. Wet feet will constitute, plants drowning, and they're more susceptible to diseases. Although one thing that if you do plant in containers, you may have to water a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, they're going to definitely dry out more so than you plant them in the ground, you water them for a little while to get the roots established, and then they pretty much take care of themselves unless we have a real dry spell during the summer. In the container, they're contained. The roots are contained, so they are relying on you for water. But I always tell people it is much better to bring water to the plant than it is to get water away from the plant. It's a lot easier to do that. So it's easier to have a soil that drains well, and you have to water it more often than it is for it to stay too wet for too long.
I'm glad you explained it, because I was going to ask you to explain what you were talking about. But I know what you're saying. It's your better quality soils for growing are well drained soils than soils that just accumulate and hold water.
Exactly.
And you would almost think it would be different, you know?
Yeah, but I tell people a lot of times, and this relates to house plants, but container plants too. If a plant in a container that it wilts or droops a little bit and it's too dry, you just water it, it perks right back up. If you have a plant that is wilting and you fill it and it's too wet, it's probably too late to do anything for that plant, because the roots start getting a fungus, and the roots rot, and there's really not much you can do to turn them around.
Anyway, Johnny, you have another neat way that if people maybe do not have, much property, they may live in the country or may even live in the city, but if they had a couple of bales of wheat straw, you have a way of they could have some vegetable garden plants in those, correct?
We do. It's hay bale gardening, and it's hay bale gardening, I guess, a little bit misnomer. It's because you want to use wheat straw, not actually hay bales. You don't want to use anything that's hay. Usually, it's the bales are usually very well compacted, and they're just they don't do as well for the gardening in as the wheat straw. Wheat straw is a little looser, and it decomposes, and it just makes a better substrate to grow plants in. So and you actually have to go through a process, and I've got the if you want the process, I'll be glad. You can come by the extension office and I'll be glad to give it to you, or I can email it to you. But you actually have to go and you have to wet the wheat straw for about 10 or 11 days, and let it go through a heat, let it go through a decomposition before you actually put the plants in. Whenever organic material decays, it uses nutrients. It uses up nitrogen, so you don't want to just plant right into it while it's still in the green stage, we'll say. Although it's brown, it's not green, but it still hasn't decomposed. So you want it to decompose a little bit. So after about the 11th day, then you can actually plant in it. So you're gonna be adding nutrients to it. You add about 2 cups of lime to it, and some ammonium sulfate as you go about the decomposition period, and just keep it moist. And once it goes through that, you'll be adding some nitrogen and everything to help replace those nutrients that it's using as it decays. And then day 11, that's when you can actually start planting. Usually you want to pull back the straw a little bit and add a little bit of good potting soil just to get the plant started, because it's not a lot of substrate there for the whole moisture for the plant when it gets started. So you want to open it up a little bit and put a little potting soil in there to get it established. And once those roots get going into the potting soil, it'll go into that hay bale or wheat straw and do real well. You can raise 2 plants of 2 tomato plants, probably depending on your size of a bale, or up to 3 to 4 pepper plants in a bale. So you plant them probably a little bit closer together in a bale than you would actually in the garden. You're going to plant probably tomato plants 3 feet, 2.5, 3 feet apart. In a wheat straw, tomatoes would be would be a little closer. You probably would want to have some way to anchor that bale also, because if you get a strong wind as the plant grows, it'll blow that bale over. One thing I did mention in the demonstration when I was going over this, wheat straw is going to have wheat seeds in it, and you're going to have a green bale before long. You keep it moist and everything, and that bale will turn green. So it'll sprout out the wheat straw around it too. So but that'll help. That'll help keep it a little bit cooler. But just keeping it moist, as it goes along, it does a good job. It does a good job of raising tomatoes, peppers. I've heard people raising potatoes.
Oh, really? Never heard of
Irish potatoes.
people doing potatoes that way. But, yeah, when you think about growing some vegetables in containers and or a wheat bale of straw, wheat straw, it's little things that you can do. And there's a lot of people out there that do not can and freeze vegetables, but they like to have, tomatoes or peppers or a few things to eat fresh through the summertime. And whether you do it in a wheat straw bale or a container, it's an easy, convenient way that pretty much anybody can have, some fresh vegetables. We need to get a word on for one of our sponsors, Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip. It's really good for a snack or a meal. And a lot of times, if you've got a hectic schedule and you're having to grab something on the go, why not grab some Our Pride Foods Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip? Goodness grows in North Carolina. Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip is made in Roxborough. You can pick up some to enjoy at T.G. Brooks Company, Twins Market, Hurdle Mills Market and Butcher Shop, North Main IGA, Food Lion, Just Save, Supply Line Discounts in South Boston, Virginia, Kenyon's Meat Market in Mebane, and Bacon's Meat Market in Hillsborough. Or you can enjoy it at Cole's Pharmacy, Trish's Espresso, Snappy's Cafe, and the Clarksville Station. Whether you're having Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip for a snack or a meal, it's delicious. Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip is made by Our Pride Foods in Roxborough. Pick up some and enjoy it today. For extra flavor, try the jalapeno added. That's Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip. Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. Our special guest today is Johnny Coley, who is the horticultural agent for Person and Granville counties of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. My name is Rob Hall. We're brought to you today by Our Pride Foods. We just heard a word from them. Coming up in just a few minutes, we get a word on for T.G. Brooks Company and Sandling Golf Cars. Johnny, I want to make mention of a few things. Coming up on Friday, April 21st, at the Umstead Farm down in Butner on Old 75, they're going to be having a barley wheat field tour. And Gary Cross, the crop agent for Person in Granville County, is going to be there. And he's going to have some people representing some of these microbreweries and other people there on hand. And basically what this barley wheat field tour is all about is to let people know that there is a market out there for I didn't say it right, for malt barley. And malt barley is used in, making beer. And it's a lot of small microbreweries, in this area and region, and they're always reaching out for, new people to help produce products that they can use in making these beers, because I think when it comes down to marketing, Johnny, that is a strong marketing tool when you can advertise that, we get our malt barley from somebody in Person County and Granville County, and we get this from over in Durham County, we get this from Orange County.
The local microbreweries want to have local product to put into the product.
So. It makes a big difference. But if you'd be interested in obtaining more information and attending this meeting. You can contact Gary Cross. You can call the Person County Cooperative Extension Service office at 336-599-1195. Again, that meeting will be on Friday, April 21st at the Umstead State Farm down on Old 75 down in Granville County, right there in Butner. So might be something if you are a grower of wheat or soybean. From what I understand, that you really do not have to have any per se specialized equipment to grow malt barley. Just the only thing, you have to have a market established for it when it's harvested. So that's something that you may want to.
Items, so you want to make sure you have a market to send it to for you.
And Johnny, you've got a little bit of information about something taking place at the library soon.
Yeah, we have Earth Day, April 22nd. The Earth Day kickoff at the Person County Public Library. Going to have library teaching garden, and we've been developing this over the last several months. Got some raised gardens right behind the library. It's a nice little lawn back there behind the library, and they've utilized part of it for raised gardens. Going to be getting some topsoil in those and planting some garden material in those beds as demonstration and to show people what they can raise in raised gardens, which are pretty much large container gardens. What that is, so still pretty much contained, but it's a raised bed or raised garden made out of wood. The Person County ag students at Person County Public Schools or high school made those for us, and they're back there, and we're gonna have a good day. We're gonna have some music, gonna have food, and some, I think, story time is gonna be about 2. The event's from 1 to 3, and it's gonna be what's growing in your garden story time at 2. So it's gonna be a good day. We're gonna have, like I said, some demonstrations on. Probably going to be planting some things in the garden that day, and then throughout the summer we're going to use that garden as a teaching garden. As things grow, as we harvest things out of the garden, we'll be talking about what to do with the produce after you raise it. I always tell people the easiest thing of a garden is planting it. Once it's planted, then the work begins as far as having to do things to it and then harvest it. And we'll probably have a composting workshop out there this summer. So it's going to be just a good teaching garden is what it's called, and that's what it's going to be used for, is to teach people how to do gardening and the different aspects that's related to gardening.
Again, that will be Saturday, April 22nd, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. at the Person County Public Library, located at 319 South Main Street. And I'll go ahead and make mention of this. That very same day is when they're going to be having the barbecue pork cook-off right down the street at Marriott Commons. The Beverly Hill Rueton Club is who is actually putting the barbecue cook-off on. So maybe you could work it in your day to go by the barbecue kickoff and then head up to the library for the Garden Earth Day kickoff. For more information on that, call 336-599-1195. We're going to get a word on for Sandling Golf Cars, and we'll come back and we'll talk with Johnny Coley a little bit more. One thing, I want to go back to the person that called in about the peach trees, about having some type of little worm, wants to know how to prevent it. Anytime that you're in need of fungicides or anything like that, any of your local gardening centers should be able to assist you on finding what you need.
And if it didn't answer your question sufficiently, please contact me at the office. If I'm not in Person County that day, they'll get in touch with me, and I'll be glad to call you back and find out what we need to get on that in order to take care of the problem.
All right, good deal. Here's a word from Sandling Golf Cars.
Sandling Golf Cars is a place you can find Club Car and Easy Go Golf Cars. They have new and pre-owned golf cars. If you're wanting a gasoline, electric, basic to fully customized golf car, see Al, Hillary, and Will at Sandaline Golf Cars, where financing is available. Sandaline Golf Cars is open for business 8 until 5:30 weekdays, 9 until 1 on Saturday. Sandaline Golf Cars is located 613 Lewis Street in Oxford. Call 919-693-4626. Toll free 1-800-221-9267. Visit the website sandalinegolfcars.com. Are you in need of repairs, parts, or service for your golf car? Maybe you need a new set of Trojan batteries. See Bradley and Dennis at Sandaline Golf Cars. Also, they have the XRTs by Club Car. These units are powered by a gasoline or diesel engine. These rugged, durable, and dependable machines, strong enough to handle anything around the farm, home, or lake. Something brand new at Sandaline Golf Cars. They have in stock the Wilmington Fire Pit Grill. You've heard us talk about the Wilmington grills available at Sandaline Golf Cars. You need to get you one of these Wilmington Fire Pit Grills. You can have it personalized just about any way you like, and you can use it as a fire pit and or a grill. Stop in and see them at Sandaline Golf Cars. They have a huge selection of utility trailers, tow dollies, dump trailers, equipment trailers, stock trailers, and they also have enclosed trailers up to 24 foot. Call 919-693-4626 or toll free 1-800-221-9267. Better yet, stop in and see the friendly folks at Sandaline Golf Cars, 613 Lewis Street in Oxford, for all of your golf cars, Wilmington Fire Pit Grills, utility trailers, and more. That's Sandaline Golf Cars, 613 Lewis Street in Oxford.
Here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. Johnny Coley is our guest today. Johnny is the horticultural agent for both Person and Granville counties of the Cooperative Extension Service, and we're glad to have him here with us this morning.
Glad to be here.
Been talking about vegetable gardening in containers and also in hay bales.
Yeah.
Johnny, you made mention earlier, and I certainly want us to talk a little bit about it. You know, tonight and tomorrow night is supposed to be in the 30s.
Yeah, they're saying, well, the forecast for Creemore, where I live, they're saying 32 for the next 2 nights, which is freezing, of course, and we could definitely get a frost. And there are a lot of things that have bloomed out there. Unfortunately, if you have a big tree, big dogwood tree, or big red bud or something like that, sometimes they'll tolerate, cooler, as long as they don't get down to the mid-20s, they'll probably be all right, but it's hard to cover them anyway. But if you do have fruit trees or some tender perennials, a lot of perennials in our yard have already come up, some peonies and different, even some of the perennial ferns are beginning to come back, and some of the grasses. So if you have that tender growth, you're going to need to cover them up the next couple of nights, and just want to do it with some type of cloth, an old bed sheet or something. You can do it with like a 5-gallon bucket or something, as long as that bucket's not touching the plant, because plastic, if will burn it if it gets too cold. You definitely don't want to use like plastic sheet, or like your rolls of plastic. You don't want to use that over them, because if it frosts on that, it can actually burn the plant through the plastic.
Some type of cloth material.
Cloth material is what you want to use. Yeah. It's just depending on what size of plants you have, it will depend on how big you need it. And it's not that temperature. It's not what I would consider a freeze. It's more of a frost than it is a freeze. So usually if we do a freeze, we want to come all the way to the ground to trap some of that heat in there to keep it a little bit warmer. With the frost, just keeping the frost off of the plant, a lot of the blooms will tolerate 32 degrees, even 31 degrees. If it gets down to 29, 28, that's where they have trouble, depending on the stage bloom they're in. that could injure them if it gets down to 29, 28 degrees. So just keeping a frost off of them the next couple of nights is something you definitely want to keep in mind. If they're under trees where the frost won't touch them, like your a lot of people's azaleas are under pine trees or under some trees because of being in the shade, they should be okay. But I would watch the forecast because it has changed in the last 3 days too.
Oh, yeah.
It was 37 Wednesday, I think, for our low, and all of a sudden this morning I look at it and they have 32 for both tonight and tomorrow night. So it could change between now and sundown. And if we can keep the wind blowing, we won't have a frost.
That's right. The wind will help.
That
And
will definitely help. But
course,
they say it's supposed to lay.
the weather report here at the station, is saying the wind could gust up to 40 miles an hour today.
Yeah.
But they're saying after midnight the wind should die down.
Yeah, and it doesn't take but about an hour. If it don't lay down till 3 o'clock in the morning, from 3 to 7 or 3 to 7:30, whenever the sun comes up now, that it will definitely be a time that frost can lay. And I've woke up in the morning and it not be any frost, and then by the time the sun starts coming up,
you see a gleam of frost.
Yeah.
Let's get a word on for T.G. Brooks Company. They've been in business since 1936. They're located 411 Helena Mariah Road in Timberlake, a landmark. And we're going to be doing the Gardener's Corner program from there in a few weeks. We always enjoy our trips to T.G. Brooks Company. We'll be back to wrap up the Gardener's Corner program right after this.
The good month of April, spring bursting open. T.G. Brooks Company is ready, and they have plants. They have tomato plants, cabbage, broccoli, collards, lettuce, and Brussels sprouts. Also tomato plants, squash, cucumbers, pepper, and herbs like basil, chives, thyme, oregano, dill, cilantro, peppermint, lavender. They're geared up for the planting season. It's the time to get things going, and fresh garden seed are in and ready to plant. Reseed your lawn with clean, fresh seed, and they have fertilizer, lime, herbicides for weed control, and if you need mulch, they've got it. The triple ground mulch is there, and now 100% cedar mulch, brand new in for you, bulk topsoil and bulk compost at T.G. Brooks Company. They have your spreaders and aerators for sale or for rent. If you are a homeowner or a commercial landscaper, T.G. Brooks works with everybody with the same courteous service. They can deliver and load up your pickup truck if you'd like. They have bagged products like pine mulch, and they'll load it in your car or your trailer. Don't forget to stock up on Pride dog food. And at the end of the day, try one of their hand-cut ribeye steaks cooked to your liking. People from all over the area go to T.G. Brooks Company. The homeowner, the farmer, and those in construction since 1936. They welcome folks from all over Person County, Rougemont, Northern Durham, and of course, Southern Person County at T.G. Brooks Company.
All right, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We're quickly running out of time.
Right.
Johnny, is there something
Well, I
you
just
wanted
want
to
to
make
go back to
mention?
the container garden a little bit. We talked about the soil and containers. You want to make sure you have holes in. One of the big things you want to do is make sure you get healthy plants. When you start out with plants that aren't the best of health, it's hard to get them back to health. So you want to start out with good plants. I tell people you usually end up with what you start out with, and so you want to make sure your vegetables or flowering plants, when you plant them in a container or even in the yard, you want to start out with them as healthy as you can, so they'll perform for you throughout the summer. You want to make sure when you put a container garden together also that the plants have the same cultural requirements. You don't want to put, and I'm going back now to ornamental plants, you don't want to put shade-loving plants in with sun-loving plants. Even though they're
Right.
pretty
Good
together,
point. Good point.
they won't do well together. They're not comparable to each other. They don't complement each other's cultural requirements. So you need to really pay attention to that. We don't want to put impatiens in with our vinca because one of them's not going to be happy. You put the vincas in the shade, they're not going to be happy. You put the impatiens in the sun, they're not going to be happy. So you got to make sure they have the same cultural requirements, and that at maturity, know what you're planting in the planter, know what you're planting in there, just like, and we can go back to the vegetable garden now, with tomatoes, you don't want to plant a tomato in a 1 gallon pot and think you're going to make it live all summer. You need to put it at least probably a 5 gallon minimum, and even bigger would be better.
Right, because it will get root bound
It will.
really fast.
And you'll be watering it every hour rather than every day.
That's right. Well, look, that's going to about wrap it up, and we could talk on for several more hours today, but unfortunately, we're out of time. Reminder: get your soil samples.
They're free
They
now.
are free now, and I guess turnaround time now is probably a couple to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Get your soil samples done. No time lost. Keep in mind, we've got a chance of frost over the next couple of nights or so, and no time lost. So if you hadn't got anything planted yet, no worries. But hopefully by the 1st of May, you should be able to start planting pretty much anything
going back
you
to the
want.
container garden again, a container garden is a good way to start some of your vegetable plants. If you want to start them in a container, get them some size before you put them out in the garden. In a container, you can move them in and out.
That's right.
A
Good
lot
point.
easier. So you can put them in a gallon container and move them in and out, and then plant them out. You have a bigger plant to start off with when you put it in your garden.
Good point. All righty, thanks to T.G. Brooks Company, Sandling Golf Cars, and Owl Pride Foods. Johnny Coley, thank you for doing what you
Thank
do.
you.
And we appreciate the support of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Appreciate Kilby doing what he does, flying by the seat of his pants. And my name is Rob Hall. We want to wish you and yours a happy and safe weekend. And thank you for tuning in to the Gardener's Corner program.
I got was an ashtray from the Friars in New York.
More than one fellow performer